Good afternoon, Scott Rella T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap. It is Thursday, and I have to admit I'm exhausted. Still a little jet lagged, but at least the action of the market kept me in tune, for most of the day. We came in, futures were down a little bit after a multi-day move that priced in the debt deal, and then after about an hour or two, things started to go. S&Ps went green, short squeeze took place, and lo and behold, we are at S&P all-time highs. So if you were a macro investor, think about what you survived. If you didn't listen to the catastrophic headlines, you survived the crash of 1987, the devaluation of 1998, 9/11 in 2001, the financial crisis of 2007-8, and then the Mayans end of the world scenario. Then you had the government shutdown, and then you had Syria, and then you had the debt ceiling, and now look where we are. So what's the moral of the story if you have a long-term plan? You stick to it. What's the moral of the story? If you're an intermediate active trader, where our sweet spot is, you stay with the positions you like, you use a tier system, you find where the relative strength, and you keep looking at the action and not the headlines. If you look at the trend here in the S&P, you will see that here's a trend that started in November. Okay, it definitely shook a little people up, right? If you want to draw the line a little bit closer up, got some people out of it here, okay, when it broke below it. But then you take a closer look and see what took place here. What is this? A little red dog reversal, a sign that maybe things are stabilizing the same way it did all year. Here was your pivot at, what was that, 1655. Then you had your gap and go that pierced this downtrend, had a little follow through, little gut check that Monday. Then yesterday we closed strong in anticipation of a deal. Today we held above the prior two-day high, and there you go, we're at new highs. Wow. People, come up to you and they say, how do you trade the market? What time frame do you use? What should I use? And I say it's different for everyone. If you could combine all three, then you can make a healthy living. If you use one or two, you're still making progress. So today in the morning call, we talked about maybe some banks could, blow off Goldman Sachs' earnings. So you look at some of the banks, and Bank of America wound up going green, giving you a nice little trade to the upside, and it looks like this is ready to break out. Some of the other ones also followed suit. Goldman might need a few more days, but it did wind up holding. This area was not the place to be. We also had in the sector spotlight some of the Chinese names. Okay, we had QIHU, SFUN, some of the other ones, and this is one that we focused on in the VTF real early, and look how pretty. Ooh, look at that. I think I drew this line in the morning call almost to where it went. You know what? Some things happen, and they happen fast, and this one happened very fast. The price point was right here. Here's your channel, held higher, made it an A+ setup. We talk about A+ setups. They don't happen often. This one went and followed through. QIHU had some early morning strength, and then it didn't really have enough to keep going, but it looked okay. People on the chat room were talking about BIDU, which started to look good. That's still hanging in there. You have this little mid-level wedge. Maybe Google after hours will help it. You also had a lot of other things going on across the board. Amazon was down. I got to give it to Chart Girl and Taylor. They held through, what was a pretty, I would say, a little pain. It was down $4, wound up going positive. That stock looks okay still. You look at this mid-level channel right here, holding steady, reversed, held where it had to, and it probably will open up with Google tomorrow. Talking about NFLX, still showing some nice relative strength. Look at that, high-level bull flag. You love high-level bull flags. Why? Because they're called continuation patterns. This one had a nice move, held the top third, continued today, and I bet you tomorrow it opens at all-time highs, or not all-time highs, whatever, 2013 highs. Apple is not the Apple of old, but you know what? It's making its way. Look at it just trickling along above the 8-day, closed at 504. Hasn't been exciting, but was fine. Okay, looks good. People have been holding it in their swing account. Some guys have a call spread. I actually had a call spread on with it, and it still looks okay. In other areas, because there are other areas to make money, I got to give it to the guys also on the VTF. They're like, red dog, look at TSO. The refiners look good. Okay, it's the beauty of having a community. I haven't traded that stock in a while. I actually put it on, wound up going to the gym at lunchtime because I'm jet lagged and tired and I had to sweat it out. I was here since 6:30. Then I came back and look at this. Woo! Nice little pattern there, right? Here is a downtrend that it broke, held above it. I think we bought a little bit as it went green, and then it traded above 48.10. Look at that. Or what was that, 46.10? Nice, powerful move. In a laggard, I might add. So, that's something cool about the VTF is you could see me come in flat something and put it on and then keep it on and trim and trail it. So that's why, some things you see for multiple days, some things you see come on, and it hopefully gives you confidence of staying with it. Okay, and that's all I'm here to do is explain the tactics, and then you're supposed to take the tactics, understand them, and put it in your own process. I'm sure VLO also had a nice move here. Oh, look at that, VLO, nice. Lo and behold, this broke above this area. Sorry for my eyes being a little bit bad. Look at that line, clean breakout. Of course, it paused in front of it and then went. Nice little guy. You didn't have to choose both of them. You only had to choose one. Nice little trade there for those of you that took it. Then you go back to the name that is the gift that keeps giving. You got your Facebook. Okay, gap up after earnings, continuation. Lots of different spots to add. This being one of them here. We talked about that video on August 20th. Then pow. Here we are at highs. I'm sure it's trading up a little bit after hours with Google also. Then you have Solar City. All the solars have been unbelievable. I think we've talked about them many times in the price point sheet, off the charts. And a few days back we were talking about this pattern here. We had an igniting bar. We wanted to see upper level digestion before it can go. You go back to Solar City on the chart right here and you will see there it is. Okay, pretty textbook, right? Here's your downtrend. Gap up, wide range bar, held the top third. Yesterday you had your hopefully pretty big size trade, closed strong, was upgraded, closed off the highs, but look where it came from. So that's why you trim and trail and use a tier system. And now I'd like to see it perhaps hold above here for what could be more digestion for another move, learn how to trade this stock in moves, and I think there's some big money behind it. Tesla, which is also Elon Musk's name, people are like, oh, I need to short Tesla, I need to short it. I'm like, you know what? Just because it rested, for 3 days after a big move from this level doesn't mean it's a short. It means it could be setting up for another nice move. And granted, it doesn't always have to make new highs before the market. You consider the move where it came from. There's been lots of entries and exits that have made a lot of sense here, okay? And right now it's trying to build another, just a high-level channel to work off what's been an unbelievable move with lots of light of buy areas along the way, which we've also tried to explain there and there and there. So at this point, I think if it could hold above this, just say 180-ish for a bit, I think we can get another nice juicy trade if it starts taking out 185 and then the highs for the the $200 ticker. So that's something that could be on your radar as far as something for the next few sessions. So let's go to Google. Google, I got to give it to RD. I can't take credit for Google. I've been trying to stay with this stock. It's been tricky intraday. And as a swing trade, when it looks bad, you got to buy. When it looks good, you got to sell it. Not the way a momentum stock is. We like to buy high, sell higher. So, we were talking, I think, around maybe 11 o'clock, and RD's like, I like it. I'm like, you know what? I like it too. Everyone's all negative on Google, so, let's do some kind of strategy. So people on the VTF saw me put on the 9-10 calls. So if you look at the chart here, you will see one of the reasons being that I did it was just because, you look at this high-level consolidation. So Google has been trading in a high-level consolidation from October, September, August, blah, blah, blah. 7 months. Some institutions have been buying it, right, after a really big move. So hovering up here, I knew to myself, I said, you know what? Some people even traded it after hours. I actually missed the after hours trade, but when it went above 907, you could have got long after hours, and then when it hovered above 927 for a good 5-10 minutes, it gave you a follow through to 945. So anyway, I think I bought the 910s right around 935. I hedged half, so if you see Google red on my computer, that I'm not shorted. It just means I had the weekly calls and I shorted half, and I'm holding half to see where we open tomorrow. So we'll see what happens, but overall, nice long-term channel. Now it's up to the upside. We'll see what happens on the conference call. Let's see where it's trading now. Let's put the 24-hour time plate in because I have no idea as I came in here. Okay, let's go to the 5-minute. Ah, 948. Looky, looky. Ha, all right. Sometimes it works. Anyway, with that said, people like, isn't that risky? I said, you know what? A little riskier is being in the stock. I like to trade options into earnings because risk is premium paid. Someone asked me that on Twitter. What's risk is premium paid? Basically, whatever you buy in options, the only thing you can lose is the premium. So you have to be willing to lose that as soon as you pull the trigger, but at least it puts you in the game. and a lot of guys made money after hours. You could have done it that way too, knowing your levels, knowing 907, 927. It went through 907 quick, 927, it hovered there for a little while, then it went, now it's up another 20 points. So there's ways to trade it after hours too with charts. So anyway, it's up. We'll see what happens tomorrow. There's been a lot of great action. This week's been one of those with the headlines. Hopefully you took advantage of the price action, because if you could understand the price action, you could always embrace the volatility and make money off of those that panic. And hopefully you've been watching T3 Live. You learned not to panic. You've learned to be strategic. You've learned to have a plan. And with that being said, we're at historic highs. I don't think the pom-poms are being waved. I don't think people are running out and, I don't know, doing some kind of dancing tonight. There's still a lot of pessimism. There's still a lot of people non-involved with the market. And if you are someone that's taking advantage of it, you put yourself in that position to learn. You put yourself in that position to get educated. And hopefully we're helping you along the way. And if you're watching this tonight on a Thursday night when you could be out for happy hour or be with your wife or your husband or with the kids, I think you're putting yourself in a position to learn and take advantage of the movement, because market's going to be here a lot longer than all of us. So it does change. You change with it. You develop a process, and it could bring you a little bit of happiness versus a little bit of, whatever, fear-mongering. So with that said, have a great night. See you tomorrow at the relaxed morning call. Hope you had a good week so far.